After Dark at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, featuring Katrina Ness, Vanessa Collins, and Ted Ings. This episode is brought to you by BG Products, partners beyond products. And now for your hosts, Ted Ings, Vanessa Collins, and Katrina Ness.
Good evening, everyone, and happy holidays. Thank you all for joining us tonight for this holiday special.
Yeah, we got a lot in store, everybody, tonight at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Vanessa. We are welcoming back tonight to the holiday edition Santa, who's coming to us live. We are live tonight, right, Katrina? I think we're live, right? Yeah, okay. We're at the North Pole with Santa. Tully Williams is here. Brian Kramer is here. Dave O'Brien from Quantum 5 is here. Jeff Bogaski from Affinitive is here. And Sean Kingery is back with us. Welcome, everybody. And great conversation to be had tonight. And Santa, I understand we're going to be going through the naughty and nice list tonight. Is that right? I think you're on mute.
I've got the list ready for us, and I've got some great gifts as well.
All right. Well, cool. Great stuff. So, Brian, just to kind of pick up on the conversation we were having a few weeks ago with Dave, a lot of interest, Brian, in this Amazon and Hyundai alliance. And from what I'm reading now, it's pretty clear that not all the wrinkles have been worked out, because a lot of great questions came up on that call. And Brian and Dave, you certainly led the conversation on that, Brian.
Well, I think it ultimately comes down to a data play, whether or not we're doing it, ourselves as dealers or using Amazon as a conduit. I think that they are very good at SLA, service level agreements. If you don't do this, then this is the next sequence of events. And I think that, overall as an industry, if we held ourselves to that same standard, which ultimately we will be held to, then we would accomplish the same thing. So what I say all the time is, why wait until then? Why not do it now? Why not do it on our own? And why not control the data ourselves instead of relying on somebody else to force us to do it?
Yeah, great points. And Dave, I love a lot of the things that you were telling us the other night that, maybe it's not so much Amazon we need to worry about. Maybe there are some other factors involved for the local dealers as well.
Yeah, no, I know I sound like a broken record about this, but, Brian and I think alike about this. I don't think they ought to be worried about Hyundai and Amazon at all. I think they ought to be worried about if Tully Williams Group or Sean's group figures out how to be in their neighborhood and make the process easier. Can you imagine a customer today if we all just said, sure, you want me to tell you what your trade-in's worth? Let's talk about it. Tell me about your car. Send me some pictures. What if we made it that easy? But instead, we continue to cling to some of our old ways, and customers increasingly find that they only want to do business when it's easy. You make it difficult and they go, yeah, no, I have choices, and they'll all deliver a car to me. So I just think that's what we should be focused on versus and Brian's point about Amazon is so true. Can you imagine if our OEM said there's service level agreement standards, and if you don't treat people a certain way, okay, we just won't let you do it anymore. So I think that's all important, Ted.
Brian, do you think, because there are a lot of, I don't want to say just third party, but there's a lot of providers of leads, and, cars.com certainly is one of them. What do you see as implications for a lot of the companies like that? Because I saw the leader at cars.com said, you know what, it's not going to phase us.
No, because we have actually more low funnel data than Amazon does. Now they have more wide stream data about consumer behavior, but as it relates to automotive specifically, we've got the richest content and the richest data. But once, at some point, you buy it from us, the cleanest, easiest, you buy it from somebody else. The next question is, what do you do with it? And I think that the actionable conversation about what that looks like is really the conversation that needs to be happening. And before that happens, I think that everybody needs to establish, what is it that we're here to do? Because I hear so many dealers that I talk to all around the country, and we're talking about this, and we get hung up in what if this and what if that. I think the real question we're going to ask ourselves is it more about price or is it more about convenience? Because I think that not just automotive, but I think that just the whole world has crossed that tipping point. Think about how many people on this panel, or how many listeners that are on this call tonight that are using DoorDash, using Uber Eats. Now, are people shopping DoorDash versus Uber Eats? Hey, who's the lowest price and who's the lowest cost provider? And how much more am I paying? Is DoorDash a better deal or is Uber Eats a better deal? And I'll give you just a quick anecdote real quick. I personally like, certain pizzas more than others, but my family likes Papa John's more than they like Domino's. The other night, we ordered Papa John's, but it was a disjointed process. It ended up being over an hour and a half. And I said, you might not like Domino's. I've grown to love them because of the convenience. They're reliable, they're consistent. And I know from the time I hit finalize order, they will be at my house in 17 minutes. And it happens every single time. So I don't really get on, maybe they do sometimes, but if it's just me, I don't get on anybody else's app except for Domino's. Now, maybe there's some pizza that's better, but I know I can trust them. I know they're consistent, and I know they're going to do what they say they're going to do every single time. And for me, that trumps everything else from a point of convenience. And I think automotive is at that same point.
Jeff Bogaski, you've been on a lot of panels with us in the past year. I'm very grateful for you. What are you seeing there in terms of convenience? Because that, Ed Roberts came on a couple weeks ago, and he said, you know what, we got to take out the pain points and make it easy for the customer.
I think this opens up the opportunity to remote service, because how we deliver a car, how we do a walk around is going to change dramatically. And if the dealer takes this and uses this issue as an opportunity, goes to the dealership to do that walk around and says, now, by the way, I can come back in 3 months for your oil change, pick up your car, or do the oil change on the spot. I really think it opens up a door that allows the dealer to think differently and take advantage of this. I started in this business in the 90s, and I remember when I was a salesperson and they were saying, we're going to put computers on everyone's desk. I'm like, that's crazy. Now they don't even use computers; they use their phones for everything. But things change, and we have to learn to adapt. And I think there's actually some really good points to the direction that our industry is going to go, whether we want it to or not.
Tully, what are you seeing out there in Sacramento at the Nilo Company? You got a lot of franchises, a lot of dealerships there.
When I look at this thing, I say it's all about building relationships. I think we've all talked about it, but you know what? I ain't scared at all, because I know that we have great people that build great relationships, right? And what happens when you have a great service advisor that's built a reputation with this customer, tells his friends and family, they will never buy another car from somebody else. They want to buy it from the service advisor. The service advisor then will recommend a quality salesperson. The whole goal is building trust. Amazon will not build trust, and Hyundai will not build trust with the consumer. It is going to be the dealer that is going to build that trust. And I say it builds the trust through the service drive, not the sales department. Yeah, sales might say they sold the first car, but I hate to tell you, we sell the next 150 of them. So I think that we build relationships, and that's what we do best in the service drive. Good quality dealers. Trust is becoming a secondary thing. Price is becoming a secondary thing. And it's all about trying to manage the person's time. And that's the key issue we talk about. Convenience is really about the time we spend and making it easy to do business with us. That's what we need to work hard on. We've done a lot of things in the last couple of years to make it easy to do business in the service drive, as my good friend Ed does. He goes to people's houses. I don't think someone wants us to go jack up their $400,000 Porsche and do an oil change in their service drive, but I'll be more than happy to go pick it up, right? And I think that that's building great quality customers, building trust with our customers. And then Amazon, we'll go ahead and buy. You can buy all the knickknacks from Amazon, the cars we bought from us.
You know, Brian, it may take sometimes for the automotive business a little while to embrace things, but this fact of making it easy and making it convenient, you know, once we get our arms around it, I think there'll be nobody better than the dealers to do that, Brian.
I agree, and as Tully's saying what he's saying, I agree that there's dealers like Tully and Ed Roberts that do an amazing job, and I've had the privilege of having my car serviced, and I really mean that at Ed Roberts' store, and they confirmed, you know, prior to my arrival, hey Brian, we noticed that you also, you know, not only are you coming in for your first oil change on your Bronco, but you also have a low tire pressure monitor, or low tire pressure monitor in your driver's rear tire, whatever. Is that something that needs to be looked at? You know what? Yeah, I've got a nail in it. So, okay, perfect. We'll make sure we have the tire in stock when you show up 2 days ahead of time, and then confirmed again to make sure that I was going to be there. And then it actually, you know, it was beautiful. It was 28 minutes, you know, faster than I needed it to be honest with you. But that's one example. But then, you know, at cars.com, Cars Commerce, we mystery shop every dealer on multiple things every single month. And here's the reality. When I mystery shop somebody for a trade, or I miss some, you know, what's my trade worth? The way that that's handled is all over the board. Just like I want to buy 4 tires for my Bronco. Now, we as an industry have a long way to go. You know, Tully stores, probably you can transact and do all those things, but the reality is I've seen it in stores that I've run where, okay, we you know, you can price them, you can check it out, you can schedule an appointment. The client shows up. We knew the night before that they were coming in. We knew actually 3 or 4 days ago that they were coming in. When we take a look at the X time or the dealer FX report, they come in, oh, you know what? We don't have those tires in stock, but we do have these. Well, you knew I was coming. You knew what car. Don't you have that in the system? Well, yeah, that system doesn't talk to that system. And we're not pre-pulling parts digitally like we should be. It takes a manual process, and some of the best do it, but that should be something that's automated. With AI and everything that's going on today, that's where this industry needs to go, is that it's easier to buy tires from the local franchise dealer, in addition to all the other things they do amazingly well, than it is to go to Tire Kingdom or to go to Tire Rack online, where everybody this perceived convenience is. It's not a reality, but we do have a ways to go overall to get to that point.
Tully, Brian is also general manager at AccuTrade, and Nilo is an AccuTrade dealership group, if I understand that right.
That is correct. We use this product in our service drives, and it gives us great quotes on buying cars today. And as you know, what we look at is the best used car is what? A car that was sold at Nilo, that has a service contract on it, that is maintained in a car dealership. People will stand in line to buy those used cars every day. And our goal is to make sure that we maintain those great quality cars, sell those service contracts, and make sure the car's maintained, because it turns into a great used car, and we get now 2 customers instead of 1. So having a great product to make that trade easy is great.
Sean Kingery, I'm sure you want to weigh in on some of these things.
You know, I'll fun off what Brian said. You know, it's funny, when I got in the business 29 years ago, as it started as a service writer, we made people not come to us for tires. We told them to go to Goodyear. We did not want to sell tires. We didn't want to stock them. We didn't want to inventory them. We didn't want to do them. We didn't want to fuss with them. And now we're begging for that business, how it's evolved. And, you know, with us having 3 Ford stores, Ford incentivizes us. When I say heavily, guys, it's a profit source for pickup and delivery. I mean, if you're not picking up and delivering cars, and yes, obviously we're in the mobile service and all this, the mobile service in Wisconsin is a little different than it is in St. Augustine, Florida. Okay. we're not changing oil in somebody's driveway in the middle of December, although there is no snow in December in Madison right now, but it's just evolved that much. It has changed that much, and the business has changed. And, you know, I'm going to talk about Stellantis, and I had a conference call today where Stellantis is going to penalize technicians for first visit, because they're that focused on customers now. And you know, Stellantis may have some challenges on some product, but that's where it's at. Again, it's about the customer. It's about people. We talked a little bit before we went on air. You know, Tully and I always agree. It's a people business. It always goes back to the people of the business. If we're failing, it's a people problem. If we're succeeding, it's a people success.
Yeah. Santa, I'm curious, will you be visiting Wisconsin first on your journey, being that they're so much further north?
Well, Wisconsin is always a beautiful place. I've been out there and been welcomed with open arms, and it's beautiful out there. I love it.
I love it. Okay, Dave, I know you got a lot to weigh in on this.
Well, I'm one of those rare people that came out of Variable that understands what Tully said a minute ago. And I think we got to talk about it for a second. He said, we sell the next 150 after they sell the first one. I think we also, Ted, you and I have talked about it, and I don't know how the rest of the group feels, but we still need to talk about the fact that the service advisor job is the most difficult job in the dealership, right? Long hours, 3 or 4 carryovers a day, lots of phone calls, lots of, okay, I got to do all this stuff right.
Technology that doesn't talk to each other.
Technology that doesn't talk. Add all that, and that's not even to say anything about service contracts talking to the right systems and all that stuff. But let's just get really crazy for a minute. So we're talking about sales doing a better job at making life easier. Why haven't we decided that it's time that sales and service together deliver a value chain that equals a purchase decision? I said earlier, I've got a guy named Chris Crawford. Chris Crawford leaves the dealership I'm at. I don't know. The dealer's my friend, but I got to tell you, I'm really tempted to follow Chris Crawford because last year when my wife's car needed something, I called him and Chris said, Dave, we'll get this taken care of. Why are you worried? I said, Chris, I moved 90 minutes away from the dealership now. He goes, what's that got to do with it? I can replace a battery in your driveway. I can put the key in the remote. And don't worry about the fact that you can't get into any of that stuff. I'll fix it in your garage. And if I don't have a Sean Crawford,
and in that moment, you were sold.
I was resold over and over, thinking I might have lost him because I moved a little bit. But seriously, you want to talk about making life easier? If I'm a salesperson, I need Chris Crawford. I need the Chris Crawford on Tully's team, Sean's team, everybody, because I gotta be able to build a value chain that's greater than me in today's marketplace. Because Tully said it right. His team is going to be what enables that customer to come back and say, I'm not leaving this dealership. But if I'm a salesperson, I also don't want them to go, I wish I could buy from Chris Crawford. I want them to say, Chris Crawford and Dave work so darn well together. This works for me. I'm staying at this dealership. And we got to quit separating these value chains because today's customer is looking at the overall value, not just one of us.
Isn't that the best advertising you can ever have? When you look at this guy that helps David out, we don't need advertising. We just need to have Dave tell all of his friends and family about how great this Chris Crawford is. And then we don't have to advertise anymore after that product. And I think that is the power. And I'm telling you, the way to find out a good advisor is right this week. Look at whose desk is full of presents. And that is the writer of Chris Crawford. Because Chris Crawford will have bottles of wine, bottles of booze, cookies, cakes, pies. His desk will be piled up high. And guess what he does? He leaves it right out there for everybody to look at, because that is a guy that's taking care of great customers.
Well, Brian Kramer, it is still a people business, isn't it?
It is. You can have the best process. You can have the best, and I see it all the time. Same group, different rooftops, same process. It's the level of execution that brings it to life. And it's more than, Dave O'Brien and I talk about this often. It's not just what you do or, hey, this task equals this. It's giving everybody a sense of purpose, a higher lighthouse, if you will, to guide themselves to whenever things get tough. Hey, what should I do with my decision tree here? What's the right thing to do? And if you have to ask yourself what's the right thing to do, then obviously it's not clear enough. But I think that no matter what, you've got to. What I look for when I go around the country and I see all these different dealerships, it doesn't matter if it's service, sales, body shops. When you're talking about the most successful, the most agile, the easiest to move, and the agile methodology and the ability to think quickly and be able to turn on a dime because there's a reason and here's why and here's what it means to you and here's how it's going to affect you. And it might not affect you immediately. It might take 30, 60, or 90 days, and it might not affect your paycheck, but the teams that get that and the leaders that can lead the way on those sorts of things with the level of trust, which is where it all starts, to where their teams trust them, that they're not going to let them down, or not going to steer them down the wrong way because they haven't before. If they did, they owned it. I think that's the key with digital transformation and bringing it to life is it's trust, it's enablement, and it's empowerment.
You know, Brian, in the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen a lot at the Fixed Ops Roundtable about parts, retail parts coming online. And that's sort of like a whole new frontier. Okay. We've had wholesale parts, we've had retail, now it's online parts. And how does this play into, into a dealer's strategy and, some of the things we're discussing with, for example, the Amazon Hyundai Alliance?
Well, I can speak to the dealership where I used to work. We did a lot of business with Amazon, and the SLAs were extremely challenging. They operate on a 7-day a week, just like they have the post office doing now. They don't want to hear, well, it was a holiday weekend and our team wasn't there on Monday, and we, it's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That's the way they count their, basically their equivalent of shop capacity or off the shelf bill rate. They're not looking at it during normal business hours. So I think that everybody needs to get on board with that because they have an audience, but they don't need to be facilitating wholesale parts when all of us can. I know Santa before the call was saying it ultimately just comes down to people, and it comes down to trust, and it comes down to knowing that they can count on people. And I've experienced that, when I worked in a large parts warehouse at a large publicly traded retailer, to when I was in a private cap. It just comes down. And it wasn't my perception, but body shops and independents will pay more if they know they can count on that dealer, or they can count on whoever's going to give them the wholesale parts. They'll have it to them when they need it, because that's ultimately the most important thing, is knowing they can count on somebody. The retail conversation, I'll touch on in a minute, but I think, the wholesale parts, we never should have let that go. Actually, I'll just go there on the retail. On the retail, you can have the best dashboard in the world. You can have the Shopify or whatever platform you want, which is needed. And there's a lot of vendor partners that are coming out with that software to be able to deliver it. But again, that's going to come down to people, but it's also going to come down to fulfillment. And it's going to come down to everybody doing their job. And I could talk about this in a whole nother show, just this one topic. But what happens when somebody buys a part at 11 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning, and they come in the next morning at 11 a.m. and they want that part, and it's not a special order part, but it's just a fast turning part, and it didn't tell them that it was already sold at 9 a.m. this morning, because you don't have a way to put sale pending, or somebody put a credit card deposit on it, or do you even have a Stripe or something like that to be able to enable 24-hour transactions the way that Amazon can? And that's the difference, is being able to have the backside, the fulfillment. The magic it doesn't happen when you hit buy now on Amazon Prime. The magic is what happens behind the scenes to make it show up in your driveway, all the different parts in the fulfillment sequence that allow it to happen that quickly. That's very complex, and they make it look so easy. And that's where we as an industry need to get.
Santa, I've heard you say before that parts sells hours, which is music to Tully's ears and most dealers. What are your thoughts on this, Santa? Because, parts is a big part of the equation.
Well, it absolutely is. And, Brian is 100% spot on. It's the relationship, and like Tully said earlier, it's the relationship, whether it's parts with the wholesale customer, whether it's the relationship that the salesperson has with their client that turns into the relationship that the service advisor has with the client, because the end result that everybody's looking for is the gift of repeat and referral business, right? Spot on, 100%. That is the gift. That's what keeps us going. That's the thing that, Amazon is never going to get caught up with, the personal aspect of that.
Tully, I've heard you say that before as far as repeat referral business. I think either you got it from Santa or Santa got that from you.
When you look at wholesale, I would say, is a unique business, very low margin. And you can be in the margin hunters, which are all they want to care about is price, or you can be in the service wholesale business. The needle company and Santa Claus and I are in the wholesale customer business, where we take care of our customers and make them success. We're not after chasing a 1% or 5% margin. That doesn't work for us. Where, you know what it boils down to? Guess what? Body shops and great independents don't care about the other 5 or 10% they're saving. They care about, they can call Santa and say, this part ain't working. I need this part yesterday. What can you do to help? And guess what we say? We'll get her done for you. And I'm telling you, it's two types. And we believe that we want to make customers success. And that's the reason our wholesale business is a success, because we believe it's a people business as well.
You know, Tully, Tully, you don't have to race to be at the bottom. And that's the key to wholesale. There's no race to go to the bottom, because if they don't have the right part, then they can't turn the hours either. Because at the end of the day, body shops, whatever it is, it's still all about the hours.
Robert Migliaccio said it right there. You can't sell time if you don't have parts. It took me a long time to realize what that meant. But I mean, it's right, exactly what you're saying, Sean. And I think everybody gets so hung up in the price war that they forget about the fact, because they can't execute the other stuff to actually get the parts there that quickly, and their team's not strong enough to operate that efficiently. So they have to defer to price, because when you don't have everything else figured out, that's the only thing you have to go.
Why would you ever want to be in a hurry? Sorry, Tilly. Why would you ever want to be in a race or in a rush to be at the bottom? It makes no sense at all.
Get your parts departments to believe that parts sells hours, and hours is what we sell. And guess what you have? You have back counter people that their bonus is not based on how much they charge a part out. It's about how many hours we can turn in the shop. And guess what happens? The parts department and the service department are one. Larry and I came up with this strategy so long ago. Guess what? There is no barrier between parts and service, because we have to have each other to be successful. Selling diagnosis does not make a successful dealership. Selling parts only does not make a successful dealership. But selling parts and selling hours is what makes success, and having those teams together to believe the client, the customer, is the win.
And Tully, that's reflected in your pay plans as well.
Next time Tully tells that story, I want to make sure that we have started to help sales departments realize they need their name added to that list of, if we don't do this, we won't be successful. Because doggone it, if you're at the dealership I'm talking about, if you had Chris Crawford on your team, you'd sell more cars. And right now, it's not our natural instinct to go, if sales worked with service better, they'd sell more cars. Instead, we're in the mentality of, if service would say thank you because we sold more cars, we'd like them better. And that kind of stuff is not going to make the customer's life simpler and easier as we move forward. Sorry, Ted.
I think there's a vision of a Chris Crawford, an advisor, being the salesperson in the future, where you streamline that, right? And imagine if Chris Crawford was a salesperson and the advisor, he would never lose your business, never lose your entire household, all your families and friends. So as we look forward and the way dealers are changing how they sell, I think we're going to see dynamics of how a sale is constituted in a dealership. We just got to be open to that. And it's going to be hard for some. There was one comment about how did they let tires go away? I think it goes back, 100 years ago. And a lot of the old dealers, they had egos and they wanted to sell a lot of cars and be at the top of the list, and they didn't care about service. Yeah. And the newer generations are trying to reset the bar and fix that. And, this group here, that's what we do all the time, talk about that. Thanks to you, Ted. And we're driving the conversation. This is the most important part the next 100 years for dealers out there as well.
Yeah. Good.
Think about this.
Why would Abad's one of the dealers that is pushing that forward? If you look at what he's doing in his store to incentivize technicians, to incentivize everybody all the way around, so they're all working towards a common goal. He's got a gym, and I used to almost hold a gun to people's heads to work more hours. We got to do this. We're not on pace, but that's obviously not the way to go. But he's got it figured out because they don't want to leave. He's treating them so well that they're staying there on their own accord without him having to ask. And I think having that sense of purpose and having everybody aligned towards a common vision and knowing that they're building something great there, I think that, like Ed Roberts' store, his store, Tully's store. There's certain, bright spots all around the country that are doing that. And I think that there's going to be more and more as we move forward.
AJ Holst, I saw your post earlier on LinkedIn about stopping in for the Cuban sandwich before you left Miami. So I think that's a great move as well. I would do the same thing if I were you. So amazing stuff being discussed here. Santa, and it's also equally fascinating how critical parts is to this conversation as well.
Oh, you know what? It absolutely is. And, Tully's right. Years ago, Tully and I, talked about it, and it really is, break down the barrier, break down the wall between parts and service, right? We are a team. That's core value number one for the Nilo company. We are a team. And when you think about that, so what is our ultimate goal? Is absolutely it is repeat and referral business. How do we get there? How do we help our technicians, make more hours, right? Consider that. Well, the best way to help the technicians make more hours is to keep them in the stall, 100%. So at the Nilo company and other stores are following suit. How do we keep the technicians in the stall? Well, we have our parts tech is actually in the middle of the shop, and we utilize Teams, we utilize email chats, and we keep the techs in the stall. We use the Teams for communication. We deliver the parts to the techs in the stall to keep them busy, to keep them in the stalls where they make, what do they make? Oh, son of a gun, the gift of hours, right? That's the most important thing.
Vanessa, I bet you didn't know how well versed Santa is on fixed operations and the servicing and parts business.
I know. At first, I thought it was just a regular old Santa, but nope.
Santa,
Hey,
you got a lot. You got a lot going on there.
And you know what? In honor of our partners, Beyond Products, BG, we are bearing gifts.
Okay, all right. So what do you got there? I saw you have the gift of hours. And by the way, Santa, I didn't realize that you and Tully go back so far as well. That Tully, you never told me you knew Santa.
Oh yeah, way back when. Tully's actually, he's the initial person on the naughty list.
Whoa, okay. By the way, Santa, you're gonna share that list tonight, right?
Oh yeah, we'll share that list in a little bit. But yeah, to tell you how far back, Tully and I go, the original Sir Talk-A-Lot. So I actually found Tully's dictionary, which kind of explains some of his emails. Webster's 7th edition, all right, from 1961, all right. Tully's original dictionary. So that could explain, some of that stuff. So what did we get Tully for Christmas? His own spell check.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So Katrina, I don't know if you know this, Tully is not exactly the best speller.
And obviously spelled the way Tully would spell it. Spell check.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not the best speller either, but spell check helps. The gift of spell check is a great one.
So Dave, a lot of gifts Santa is bearing, and Dave, congratulations to you on all the great work that Quantum is doing to help bring our industry into the modern age. And I know you've got a great team there, and Brian's involved and many others. But Dave, hats off to you for all the great things you're doing there at Quantum.
No, we're super blessed. For some folks that started out to just create some training technology, right before NADA, we'll announce our first OEM project where I'm so excited to tell you that we're going to replace. How many people on here really love going through manufacturer certification stuff? Yeah, right. So what if it could be better, right? And there's a seriously brave manufacturer that trusted us to bring a better process to some sales and sales manager certification. And we're super excited about it. And it isn't anything without the team around me. And I don't know how many of you guys know, but Ted Ings is responsible for most of my team. He's my personal recruiting department, it seems sometimes. I'm grateful, Ted. Thank you.
I'm grateful to you as well. So Brian Kramer, I don't know if you know, my daughter, Jean, works for Quantum 5. Full disclosure, she told me
I did not know that.
she's 22 years old. She told me, a couple years ago, she didn't want anything to do with the car business. Of course, Brian, right? I think we all said that at one time in our lives or another. And she's got a screenwriting degree. And Dave was quick to realize that might be a good fit for what Quantum 5 is doing.
There's a great story that needs to be written around the whole journey of Quantum 5. So that's actually a perfect fit.
Yeah, I think it's really, really strong. So, Santa, want to know what you got for us tonight, because I know you've been keeping a list. Here we are towards the end of the year now. It's about time that you share with us, who's who. So, if you're ready, I know you've showed us some of the gifts tonight. So I'm going to go down the line and, kind of let us know who is who.
Ooh.
And the ladies from Northwood are ready to go with that. So, Santa, let's start off with Brian Kramer. From cars.com and AccuTrade. Santa, Brian Kramer on the nice list or the naughty list for this year?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. The things that he brings to the table, cars.com, AccuTrade, everything like that. There's no other list but the nice list.
Whew. All right. Cool. Brian, you made it in. I like that. Excellent. While we're on the subject, Dave O'Brien, Quantum 5. What do you got, Santa?
Oh, again, did you just hear all of that stuff that Dave was bringing out to the table and everything that Quantum 5 is doing for the industry? Are you kidding me? Absolutely, no doubt about it, the nice list.
All right, very good. Cool. All right. So, Santa, we got two on the nice list, Brian Kramer and Dave O'Brien. What about Tully, Santa?
Ay.
I'm ready. Bring it on, bro.
Are you kidding me? The bag of coal? Like the big bag of coal. Naughty. Absolutely naughty.
Whew. Can't win, Tully.
I know.
Never.
3 years in a row. Santa, Sean Kingery over at Kaiser Automotive Group up in Wisconsin.
So, you know what? Sean is amazing. He does a lot of great things for the industry. Absolutely. I do actually have a special gift for Sean and the other Sean Butler. Okay. So the gift that I have for you is good health.
Thank you.
That's my gift for you. But that's not going to get you off of the naughty list.
Oh, ouch.
I got to say, if you had a better choice in football teams, you'd be on the nice list. We got room over here, but I gotta say, you gotta be on the naughty list for that one.
Thanks, Santa.
There you go, Sean. You made the list this year. So, Santa, I know Jeff Bogaski. I don't know how ready you are for Jeff, but he does a lot of good work over at Affinitive. What do we got for Jeff this year?
And he's an ex-time.
Two thumbs up.
Oh, nice list. Okay. All right, cool. All right.
The late ad, so they had to make it nice.
You earned it, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, very good. All right, how about our Northwood intern, Santa? We'll go to Katrina Ness first.
Oh, hands down, nice list. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Wow. All right, good job. Only two left, Santa. Vanessa Collins.
Oh, you know what? I still have room on the nice list. Come on down. Again, two thumbs up.
Santa, why is it only us and Sean are on the naughty list? That ain't right, bro.
Well, I mean, but totally think about it, because now who's left? The Godfather.
The Godfather.
The Godfather himself can never make the nice list. Let's be honest.
Well,
It's just not even. It's really not even a question.
So he's working really hard to get onto that nice list. But remember, he started off in sales.
Oh.
Naughty.
Oh.
Naughty. He did come to the good side. He's working hard. Maybe next year we get him to the nice list.
All right.
He's He's hanging out with the Grinch right now.
Okay.
Oh,
Ooh, wow. Sean.
wow. Wow. You better watch out. He has the Godfather ring, I've heard.
He does. I wouldn't want to get hit by it.
Yep. Sarah Van Tyne. Hey, Santa, how about Sarah Van Tyne? Okay, she's not here with us tonight in person, but she does a lot of good for the industry, a lot of good Quantum 5, and with all her travels with Fixed Ops Roundtable, that Dave's been so gracious to let her do as well.
We've been following her and doing all that amazing stuff with the Fixed Ops Roundtable and everything like that. Absolutely the nice list.
All right. Very good, Sarah. All right. There you go. All right. Like that. Well, everybody, I want to wish all of you and your families a very happy holiday, and thank you all for all you do for Fixed Ops, and thank you for being here tonight. Very grateful to everybody here. Brian Kramer, thank you so much for all you do. Sean Kingry, Jeff Bogaski, grateful to you very much. Dave O'Brien, so many things have come out of this. So Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you and your family.
And to everybody here, thank you, Ted, for what you do for all of us and the industry. Thank you.
Agreed.
Tully, thank you for all you do. And of course, Vanessa and Katrina, thank you as well. And
Absolutely.
Here's Kathy Bates. Okay. Yeah, with Merry Christmas.
Santa, don't forget my address in a couple nights, please.
You got it.
All right, everybody, we're going to be back on Wednesday. Santa's going to be back with part 2 of the holiday show. I understand Ron Overs from Fixed Ops Magazine is going to be here. I think, Tully, you're coming back, and I think Ed Roberts will be here as well, Tully, from what I see as well.
Fantastic.
So,
Santa, that'd be a great way to get some obsolete parts off the books. Anybody on the naughty list.
There you go.
Right?
We don't have an obsolescence problem. No, we don't. No.
Well played. Well played.
No.
You have a strategy.
all right. Everybody, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all of you and your families.
Happy
Thank you
holidays,
very much.
everybody.
Appreciate it.